Imagine you're earning $1,000 a month on YouTube from the YouTube partner program, ads, super chats, maybe even channel memberships, and 240 of those dollars just disappeared after all of your hard work. Well, that's what can happen if you don't update your tax information by May 31st, 2021. So it literally is tax doomsday, especially for those outside of the US. But I'm going to share all the information you need in this video to keep yourself safe, keep as much money in your pocket as possible, and really avoid this YouTube tax, which isn't really a YouTube tax. It's actually really the US government, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. But we're going to cover all the details in this video. So smash like if you're fired up. If you haven't heard, all monetizing creators on YouTube, regardless of their location in the world, are required to provide tax info. It's not new information, but you need to submit your tax info as soon as possible if you're just seeing this and you haven't updated it. If you're in the US, check to make sure your tax info is current. If you're outside of the US, definitely make sure you maybe submit some information inside of your Google AdSense account so that you're safe. And the deadline is May 31st. Otherwise, Google could be required to deduct 24% of your total earnings worldwide. To get the exact information that you're going to need to know, we're actually going to check out this information from YouTube. And I wanted to get this video to you because it's happening literally as I'm recording this live. You have basically right now, like 2 days until the absolute deadline of this, or else your money could start being withheld. And then at the end of this video, in super short video, I'm going to share 3 tips that are actually bigger than just this piece of information so that you can make more money and make a greater impact on YouTube that I've learned from making a lot of mistakes over the last decade as a business owner and not just as a YouTube creator. Let's check this out.
In this video, we'll walk you through important tax changes that may soon impact monetizing creators outside of the United States. We know that tax information can be overwhelming, so we're going to walk you through everything you need to know about what's changing and the steps you need to take.
So this is from the YouTube creator channel. So you're going to get all the information, how to set up, how to go into AdSense, what you need to change. Here we go.
And be sure to check out the links in the description for even more detail. Let's dive in. First, what's happening? If you're a creator outside of the US, you may begin to have taxes deducted from your US earnings later this year. Google has a responsibility under Chapter 3 of the US Internal Revenue Code to collect tax information from all monetizing creators outside of the US, and in certain instances, to deduct taxes when these creators earn income from viewers in the US. These US earnings can come from ad views, YouTube Premium, Super Chat, Super Stickers, and channel memberships.
So basically, too, all the money that is generated by YouTube, and later on, we're going to talk about diversifying your income streams. Everything that you generate on YouTube, including super chat, channel memberships, in addition to the fact that YouTube takes 30% of every single super chat and gives you 70, takes 30% of channel memberships and gives you 70. You also could be hit with another 24% if you don't update this outside of the US, and if your information's incomplete here in the US, from all of the revenue generated underneath the YouTube umbrella. Again, if you're doing affiliate marketing or a brand deal, that's still subject to taxes, but that would be separate, and it's not going to be, there's not going to be a forced withholding that they're talking about here.
So what does this mean for you? Over the next few weeks, you'll be asked to submit your tax information in AdSense. Here's how you find it. In AdSense, go to Payments, and then Manage Settings. You'll see an option to manage your US tax information there. You'll be asked a series of questions to determine the appropriate tax form. This online tax form will be available in your selected AdSense language. Generally, for creators outside of the US, this will be either Form W8BEN, which is typically for individuals, or Form W8BENE, which is typically for businesses. If you're unsure about which forms you need to fill out, you should consult a tax advisor. No, even if you're paid by an MCN, you will still need to submit your tax info in the AdSense account that's linked to your channel.
So that means that if you're a multi-channel network, sometimes we'll work with YouTube creators and bypass YouTube AdSense. They basically are handling all of your ads, maybe negotiating higher CPMs, but because it's through the YouTube platform and via your MCN, you're going to make sure you're also going to need to submit your taxed info.
How much will you be taxed? How much you'll be taxed depends on a few things. It depends on if your valid tax form has been submitted or not, how much your channel earns from US viewers, and if your country has a tax treaty with the US that you claim the benefits for.
So if you're out of the US, you want to make sure you've actually submitted your form, because if you haven't, they're going to force the 24%. You're going to want to make sure it depends on how much you're earning. And here in the US, that could be related to like tax brackets. You're taxed at different percentages, depending on how much money you're earning. And if your country has a tax treaty. So this can get kind of complex. I just want this on your radar, not trying to stress you out on Memorial Day weekend, but I do want you to have be on top of this information so you can get it done by the deadline, which is May 31st, 2021.
4. Let's dive into each of these factors. First, is your tax form submitted? Once you submit a valid tax form, you can find your tax withholding rate in the payment section of AdSense. Tax withholding rates are between 0 to 30% depending on your country and are applied to your monthly US earnings from AdSense. If you want to calculate your US earnings, go to YouTube Analytics and then Advanced Mode. Then select the date range you want to look at. Since you're paid monthly, we suggest setting the date range to look at the month you want to calculate. Then click Geography. From here, add a secondary metric and choose your estimated revenue. From there, find the US in the list of countries below the graph to see your estimated US revenue. For example, if your withholding rate is 30% and you make $200 from the US every month, $60 would be withheld monthly. Now what happens if your tax form is not submitted? If Google does not have tax forms from you by the time these changes go into effect, Google will be required by law to presume you're a US person if you have an individual AdSense account. This means until we have your completed tax info, we may need to withhold up to 24% of your total earnings worldwide.
There's the big thing that I want you to see again. Get your completed tax info in. Otherwise, Google may need to withhold 24% of your total earnings, not just your US earnings. So again, your whole account earns 10 grand, 2,400 is going to be withheld if your tax information is not updated. By the way, if you're finding this information valuable, smash like button. You may not want to like this information, but if you do like getting news like this and you appreciate when I do videos like this, just let me know. And let me know if you have any questions about this. We'll keep going.
Not just your US earnings. So the earlier you can get your forms in, the better. And finally, does your country have a tax treaty with the US? Some countries have a tax treaty with the US that can potentially reduce the tax withholding rate on your revenue. So if you submit your tax info and claim a treaty benefit, your tax rate might be reduced. For example, partners in the UK or Canada may be eligible for a tax rate of 0%, while partners in Mexico or Korea may be eligible for a tax rate of 10%. AdSense will automatically surface the opportunity to claim a treaty benefit if one exists between your country and the US.
So log into your AdSense account, start filling out your information. Let me know, where are you in the world with your YouTube account? And are you a part of the YPP, the YouTube Partner Program? Again, there might be a tax treaty and you could pay as much as 0%, Canada and the UK potentially, or 10%, as they said in like Korea. And so when you log into the back end or you see inside of your back end, Google AdSense will surface that opportunity for you to claim a tax credit or see that this doesn't maybe affect you very severely. And that's going to be based on the country that you live in. Footnote on that, even here in the US, people will often move once they discover disadvantageous tax situations in certain states. For example, people are fleeing California for a lot of reasons right now. But one of the reasons why here in the US, people are doing that is because sometimes you could pay over 50% of your money in taxes. But if you move to a different state, there might not be income tax like here in Nevada, where I live in Las Vegas. There may be states that are more friendly to small businesses. That's, again, another reason why we love Washington, Nevada, and why we choose where we live. So I know it might be easier said than done. You're like, I can't just leave my country. But consider, like, understanding taxes, you may not have thought about it before, could influence your decision of where you want to build your empire, where you want to build your business, where you want to be planted and build your family in terms of finances.
To claim a tax treaty benefit, you'll need to provide a non-US tax identification number in the tax identity section of the tax tool in AdSense. This is issued by your local tax authority or government. Or in some cases, you could provide a US tax identification number, like an employer identification number, EIN, or an individual tax identification number, ITIN. To see a list of countries that currently have a US tax treaty, check out the link in the description to the IRS website. For more detailed information on this tax requirement, please check out our help center and the links in the description below. Thanks for watching.
So I will link to that video so you can go check out all the links in that video. Plus, I will link some resources in the description of this video as well. You know, does this pertain to a non-monetized channel? It doesn't at this time. At some point, Max, you'll want to set up your Google AdSense account and then think through this. Crafty's asking, if your channel's not monetized and very small, do you need to do anything? Nope, because you're not at this point earning income. James says, who's taking my money? It may be Google that is forcing this to happen, but it's because of the IRS and them being in compliance with the tax code. So who is ultimately taking your money? It is ultimately the Internal Revenue Service in America, where YouTube is based. Two things are certain in life, my friends: death and taxes. And so this is just the nature of the game. You can't, even though you could be frustrated with YouTube or Google about this, it is outside of their control, more or less. They're staying in compliance as it pertains to this. And so really quick, I just want to give you 3 quick tips in response to this, and what I think you should do and how you can navigate things. Let's see, question: do you have to deal with this if you're under 18? You shouldn't, but whoever owns your account, or once your YouTube account starts being monetized, share this video with your parents. If whoever is like the dependent responsible for your YouTube channel, whoever this is connected to, either their social security number or some kind of a tax identification number, even here in the US. And if you're just joining this video, you can watch the replay. The YouTube video broke down how you go into your AdSense account, make sure your tax info is current. But the first tip is just make sure you submit valid tax forms. I know it's not what you wanted to do this weekend or whenever you're watching the replay, but please go into the back end of your YouTube channel, but more importantly, go into your Google AdSense account and submit valid tax forms. The deadline is May 31st, 2021, or there could be forced withholding. By the way, what even is withholding? It actually kind of brings us to tip number 2: get educated about money and taxes. All I can speak to is here in the US, but withholding is like when you work for an employer. You're going to go to your employer, you get your paycheck every week, then you look at your paycheck and you're like, what the heck? Why is there like 4 different things that are being taken out of my paycheck? Those are going into maybe Social Security, and some are going into withholding. The way it's set up here in the US is that money is withheld by your employer and given directly to the IRS. So this means that, you know, what the government here in the US is not letting you do is they're not letting you take your money first, do what you want with it, and then trusting you later to pay them taxes. As you work your job, they're taking the money out of your check. The reason the second tip here is to get educated about money and taxes is years ago, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. You ever read that book? And it started helping me think that there's the cash flow quadrants. There's 4 positions to be in. You could either be an employee, a small business owner, a big business owner, or an investor. And as you move up the cash flow quadrants, you start thinking differently and realizing the most money most of us will pay in our life is not actually your mortgage. It's not your water bill. It's not the Pokemon cards you're buying. It's not whatever. It's taxes. We all pay a lot of taxes, unless you're like below a poverty line. And there's ways to reduce your taxes. And so one of the best things you could possibly do is start a home-based business, AKA a YouTube channel, even that is not making money yet. Because again, depending on where you live, do your own research. I am not a CPA, and this is for entertainment purposes only, and not financial advice. But start a home-based business. You can start writing off your computer, your cameras, your Epidemic Sound subscription service, your vidIQ subscription, things related to your home-based business, a percentage of square foot of your home office, which can come off of your rent. And of course, you got to cross your T's and dot your I's. And you may not be like, Sean, I don't want to get educated about this. It's one of the most important things you could ever do is get a financial education. But hear me, start a home-based business. Start thinking not like a hobbyist that's just dabbling, but like a business owner that's dominating, even if it takes you a couple years to be profitable. There's a few years here in the US where you're allowed to run your business, and it's not considered a hobby yet, because when you do a startup, you're going to go negative for a few years. So you write off that laptop, and you're writing off the software, and you're writing off. So get educated about money and taxes. And if you would like me to have my friend I've got different CPA friends, the CPAs we work with, that could go deeper into tips on that. Then let me know. And I'm also going to link a few books in the description. Here's the question you should ask. What can I legitimately write off in my home-based business? So you can start reducing your tax bill. So keep this in mind. Here in the US, if you were to get 24% of your money withheld, this is why you get a refund. And people are like, oh, cool, my tax refund came. That's actually not that cool. That means that the government held your money hostage. They kept it for most of the year. And then they're like, oh, you can actually have it back. It was yours all along. The business owner's in a better position because they're actually paying taxes after they've kept the money, and they're able to use it, invest it, get interest on it, and potentially build up write-offs and build up investments that they make, and then pay the government once they owe taxes versus having it withheld up front. If you followed me there, type yes in the comments or the chat. If that was just a long stream of nonsense, then hey, get educated about money and taxes, and let me know if you have any questions about that, or if you'd like for me to have my CPA friend Matt come on the channel and we could do some tips on deductions and whatnot. And I'll link up some resources in the description down below and my favorite books on tax deductions. And then tip number 3 is diversify your income streams. So a couple people asked, is this going to affect me if I don't even monetize my channel yet? Well, no, because you're not going to pay any money on $0 earned. However, before you even qualify for the YouTube partner program, you can start doing affiliate marketing. You could start doing brand deals. Jordan Perez, who was on the Think Media channel, and Heather and Jordan did a video about her setup and her best tips growing to 1,000 subscribers. She is already at 1,700 subscribers talking to a charcuterie subscription box. That's like meat and cheese. She's already talking to them, and they're going to send her free boxes first, but then they're going to potentially, if it goes well, start paying her per video. Keep this in mind, friends. If a brand pays you $1,000, that money is subject to taxes. It just might not be withheld up front. You might get it as a 1099, and at the end of the year, the following year during tax time, the government says, okay, so what percentage of the money that brand paid you is ours? You're like, frick, dude, are you H&R Block, Sean? Like, what are we talking? Like this, I mean, you got to figure this stuff out. I know it's frustrating as like a video editor, creative myself. This wasn't like my dream to get educated on this, but for the preservation of the Think Media business and family and my own family, you got to think about that. So one of the things to consider though, as not only this 24% tax that can hit YouTube creators if you don't get your info sent in, is also that YouTube takes a lot of money anyways. Like, I don't know if you've seen lately, but like in the old days, people used to say, you know, YouTube gives you 55% of ad revenue and they take 45%. That's not even kind of true, dude. Like it's way worse than that. I mean, I don't know what your numbers are, but now we have a CPM and an RPM. And hear me, I'm also not complaining, because I think that YouTube is an extreme blessing that we are able to, you know, use this platform for free and all of those types of things. But like your estimated earnings on this video on Think Media is 2,280. But if we head over here to revenue, the CPM is $8.22. The RPM is $3. That means YouTube is keeping $5.20, and I get $3, and then the Think Media team. So that is heavily, like the money goes heavily to YouTube, which brands pay YouTube. YouTube keeps over 50% in my case. And by the way, it's different every video. It's different, whatever. But like they keep probably 50, 60, 70%. You get the next 30% of that ad revenue. Those numbers are always shifting. But we know for sure, if you do channel memberships, out of every $10, YouTube's keeping $3. If someone gives you a $10 super chat, thank you for the super chat, Jaden. YouTube, out of the $2 super chat you gave me, is taking 60 cents that went into YouTube's pocket. And thank you for the money that went into Think Media's pocket so we can make videos like this. And so what's the tip number 3? Diversify your income streams, because you want to start, number 1, yes, doing affiliate marketing or maybe doing brand deals, but eventually the goal is to create your own thing. You know, we do have a deep dive YouTube course. Many of you have heard about it. It's called Video Ranking Academy. Not only is it the greatest YouTube strategy course on planet Earth, I mean, of course, I'd probably say that, but it really is, like with the support, the Facebook group and the community. But it's also the greatest way to, if you're getting value and you know we've got the best tips and the best strategies to help you grow on YouTube, I mean, the value is there for you first, but it also is the best way to support what we're doing because we created it. So YouTube doesn't take 30% or whoever doesn't take 30%. Of course, at the end of the day, we're accountable to the IRS for just the macro income of our business. My point is, create your own thing. If you create, say, a digital product for $100, you're going to probably keep 98%. After like Stripe, the payment processor, or PayPal takes 1.5 or 2%. After you pay the bill for Teachable or Thinkific, if you created an online course, you pay $100, $500 a year for membership, $1,000 a year, $1,500 a year, depending on the program you're on. After those fees, the rest is going to go into your pocket. You maybe create something that's merch. Yeah, okay, there's hard costs. There's hard costs to t-shirts and things like that. But all I want to encourage you to do, not necessarily at this exact moment, but to shift your thinking to say, man, I got to get educated about money. I got to get educated about taxes. And I got to become more like a business owner, CEO, and think about, man, what's the bigger business I'm building? What products could I build? What IP, intellectual property could I create that I'm keeping a lot more percentage and I'm not stuck in the middle? And this is no resentment towards YouTube, but we are victims of whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, whatever tax they want to slap on us. And I don't resent that because this platform's freaking cool. I can go live and connect with you right now. We can stream right now. We can post 4K content, 1080p content. We can spread our message around the world. Thank God for YouTube, but also diversify your income streams. Also build a bigger business outside of YouTube. Also build an email list so you can stay in contact with people. Also use text message. Also grow on social media so you're diversified. Just think about the bigger picture, and this event in terms of YouTube taxes is a good time to do about that. Of course, if you want to learn more about diversifying your income streams and you haven't seen my free class, definitely check it out, thinkmasterclass.com. I talk about multiple different ways to earn $1,000 a month outside of the YouTube partner program, right? Outside of just YouTube AdSense. Thinkmasterclass.com. Links in the description down below to everything related to what's in this video. My question for you, where are you based in the world? And are you a part of the YPP? And have you updated your tax information? Did you go in right now? You're like, Sean, I've been in there. I'm logging in my AdSense. I forgot my password. Don't you hate passwords? I mean, I don't even ever know what my password is. So get your information updated. This is Doomsday weekend, friends. This is it. It's over May 31st. If you live globally, 2021, like they might start withholding 24% tax. But once you get your info connected, you shouldn't have to worry. This shouldn't cause stress. It should just cause motivation. Let me know where you are in the world. Smash like if you got value out of this video. And if you're a part of the YPP. And if you really want a deep dive training on YouTube monetization, I'm talking deep dive. I break down everything, how to sign up, how to qualify, community guidelines, terms of service. Just click or tap the screen to watch that video. It breaks all the details down for you. I appreciate you so much. Sending you major love on Memorial Day weekend. Smash like. Talk soon. Peace.